Hey guys, how's it going? It's Arnold T101, and today I bring you another video of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. So, we're going to take a little detour from the raid. Might get some good footage on Phase 4 later tonight when we start a raid later on today. But I wanted to talk a bit about Galactic War. Now, Galactic War has been through lots of ups and downs. It's had some really easy periods, and it transitioned to a very tough period of gameplay. And now, finally, after a couple more updates that I've rolled out, Galactic War has become somewhat manageable, and it actually, for a lot of people like myself, it's become to the point where it's super easy. So the reason why I wanted to actually make some gameplay is because just the other day, probably about 2-3 days ago, I finally completed the 150 Galactic War wins challenges, which, as you know, it gives you 10 Vader shards. So we're getting dangerously close to getting a 6-star Vader. There's going to be an Ewok challenge coming out where you use Empire characters. That's going to be another 10 shards. And I have another 10 shards waiting for the light and dark hard battles. And with the combination of all those, I actually could have a 6-star Vader sometime probably in July. So yeah, we're getting kind of close to that. So because of that little achievement that I made, I want to go ahead and make some get you some gameplay, talk a bit what I do to get through this. And to be honest, at this stage of the game, it's not all that difficult to actually get through it. This whole run that you're seeing here, I haven't lost. I didn't lose one character at the very last node. I just swapped out a character just to try something out. But even so, didn't lose anyone in this whole game, in this whole gameplay here. So getting onto the game here, there's a lot of ways to be successful at Galactic War. How I view Galactic War, it's kind of like a survival challenge. And with survival, there's a lot of ways to survive. You can be very fast, you can be very strong, you can evade attacks, you can be very sturdy, so you take a lot of hits before you fall down. So a lot of ways to get by Galactic War. And just like surviving in the wild, there's a lot of ways to survive in Galactic War. What I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and talk about what I'm doing, which is pretty similar to what I'm running in Arena and Raid as well. But this lineup that I have here, it's got a combination of a lot of things. And as you can tell, I run Old Ben as my lead. So with Old Ben, he's going to help your team not get hit as often so they can last in the fight longer. Because with Galactic War, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You want to make sure your characters are lasting as long as possible. And with Old Ben, with his he gives everyone a chance to dodge an attack, 15% chance, and then if they do dodge, they get a 30% turn meter bonus. So two things play there. One, your characters are having an increased chance to get an attack dodged on them, so that way they can last longer. And with the turn meter bonus, they can go ahead and attack faster. So you kind of have two elements. One, you got this the survivability thing where you're trying to stay out of the fight, and then you also have speed so you can get back in the fight even faster and attack your opponent. And to kind of bounce off that leader ability Ben is using, I actually used Yoda in Galactic War. Yoda, I mean, he was used for like everything for a small period of time when he first came out. Then after some nerfs and patches, he's okay in Arena, but I feel like Galactic War is where you're going to get the most out of him, mainly because he's got that foresight, and he's going to help everyone just, dodge a couple attacks when he spreads it to everyone. Now, if you're just going to do a complete auto through the whole entire Galactic War, don't use Yoda. The computer, for some reason, has no idea how to control Yoda, and he's gonna spread just tenacity up for no reason. He's going to use his attack on everyone for no reason. So if you're gonna auto it, just take Yoda out of there. Maybe toss in Barris, just so she can just constantly heal everyone. Because the computer, that's at least they're good at that. They know when to heal properly. But with Yoda, they don't know what they're doing. So, but yeah, pretty much the reason why you use Yoda is because when he attacks, he gets foresight, and then every 5 turns or so, you can go ahead and spread that to everyone at the right time to make sure you can survive a couple more hits there. I usually use that when they have an attack on everyone, the characters. So like they have a Phasma, Vader, Sidious. Although their attack on everyone isn't powerful, every single node has at least a Sidious, has maybe a Phasma, and if they keep getting that attack on everyone on you, they're going to start breaking down your protection, breaking down your health. And once you get towards the end, you might be kind of getting to like the low green or yellow area of your health. So I mainly use that just to make sure that they're not hitting me as often. Other than that, I mean, Yoda's stun when he can stun someone who's less than 50% health does come in handy, especially when fighting very tanky characters like fives. He gets kind of annoying, especially when you get a lot of squads that fight him. So you want to go ahead and make sure you could stun him, so that way you can kind of finish him off without having to keep getting shot or keep getting countered by him. The person that I absolutely feel like if you have in your squad, I mean, I say this in every single video almost, but if you have Rey, Galactic War is just super, super easy. Usually, when she goes first, assuming she has one or two of her specials, either the second or third one, she can nearly just one-shot any character there almost. So usually if Rey's got her specials ready, and what I do usually is either try to just knock out their Rey right away. Usually I just go for their Sidious because Sidious he doesn't have that much protection, doesn't have that much health. And when you use that attack, you can simply just wipe him out in literally one blow. So yeah, Rey makes this really easy. She kind of balances the two tank characters that I'm running here, and she gets a ton of damage out there. And then Qui-Gon Jinn, he's he's one of those characters that if you don't have, you should just get him because he's used for almost every single thing out there, except the dark side battles, obviously. And he's going to help, get those extra attacks off. He's going to strip the turn meter from your enemy, which, the turn meter stripping is not the biggest thing, but trust me, it's nice, especially if you want to delay someone's attack. And then, using his humbling blow. It's good for getting the when like Royal Guard taunts or Han taunts. It's good to strip that off. I mean, although sometimes I replace my Leia in there, I've recently finally just got her to 7 stars due to the arena shipment. So sometimes I might just put her in Qui-Gon's place if I feel like I don't really need him at all. And Royal Guard, he's just really great for controlling the field. So let's say you got a Phasma on the other team. You don't want her to do a victory march. You don't want her to put speed down on your characters. Or you got people like Count Dooku or Fives or whatever. You can just go ahead, stun them, kind of control them, make sure they're not getting attacks off. And it works really well. You stun those hard characters, and then you go for the easy ones like, Sidious. Sometimes I see Darth Maul. So you get those easy characters out, and then by the time they're recovering from their stun, you can just go ahead and just finish them off really easily. So and you can kind of see that here. I stun Vader in this particular clip so he doesn't get his attack on everyone. And now I'm going ahead. I was hoping to knock both of those characters out with Yoda's attack on everyone, but Sidious, he likes to dodge those attacks. So yeah, so there we go. We're stunning Vader again, and just trying to make sure that he's not getting his attack on everyone off, because then it gets kind of annoying. It's just ruining your protection, health for no reason. And now we're going to try to finish off Savage Opress here. So, but yeah, that's what I'm running here. What a lot of people do when it comes to Galactic War is they get a bunch of healers. Usually they get like a Barris lead and Luminara, secondary somewhere. And that works pretty well. It's especially if you're going to just auto the battle. You could just go ahead, put like Barris, Luminara, Rey, Geonosian Soldier, maybe Royal Guard or Qui-Gon Jinn. Press that auto button, and Rey and Qui-Gon, they're just going to go to town. Geonosian Soldier, if you have them, they're going to go ahead and help out as well. And then once they start running low on health and protection, one of your healers will come ahead and heal them up. So that way, they can kind of last longer in the battle for you. So yeah, pretty much the main point that I'm getting at here is that there are a lot of ways to get by Galactic War, especially nowadays. I'll kind of talk about that in a second. But if you want to know a history before protection came around, pretty much myself and a ton of other people, they were using a Qui-Gon lead, and honestly that probably will still work, getting all of your attacks off. Especially if you have like Old Ben here, if you, even now, or even if you had Qui-Gon Jinn as the lead and you had Old Ben kind of following him, getting that his mind tricks off, it definitely takes the heat off of you. You can kind of kick back, know that they're okay. They lost turn meter, they got ability blocked, they're not going to hit you as hard. So it really just kind of takes the heat off you, kind of makes things a little bit easier for you. And yeah, so pretty much you can just run almost anything. It takes a lot of experimenting, but the main thing is you want to try to focus on keeping your team alive as long as possible. And pretty much what I do here is just kind of work off that whole evade thing with Yoda and Old Ben, and then getting your high damage out. So I don't need a healer in this particular group here. But if you don't have these characters, as long as you got like Luminar or Barris, this will be easy as well. It's probably gonna be very hard to just go through all the nodes with using just like a droid squad, because there's not a healer for them. I mean, you have Jawa Engineer, but not gonna probably make it that far for you. So when you're composing your squad here, you just want to kind of put your characters together and see which lineup is just going to keep you around for a while. So now I kind of want to transition over to Galactic War and the mechanics going on behind it. So for a while there, after Protection came out and this whole dodge meta came around with Dooku and Old Ben, it was getting rather tedious. I mean, even for myself, I mean, I always made it through, but it was such a headache a lot of times. For example, probably after the second node, you might be hitting like maxed out like top 15 Dooku squads, and they were just super annoying and painful, especially there was a time where speed didn't carry over. So for example, or I should say turn meter, for example, how Galactic War is now, depending on where your team ends with their turn meter by the time you finish the round, that exact turn meter is going to carry over to the next match that you have. So for example, let's say that your Royal Guard was at 90% turn meter and Yoda finished off the last character. Come the next battle, Royal Guard is going to still have that 90% turn meter, and he actually could go first, which, as you know, in Arena, that's never going to happen. We're never going to see an RG go first unless there's some sort of Empire lead that just gets him to go to be the very first character in front of Rey, Leia, Qui-Gon, Yoda, Dooku. So that's one thing to keep in mind. They made a change in Galactic War. I want to say maybe about a month or two ago, where that turn meter kind of continues over to the next round. That way, because the problem was before is that all these lineups that you're facing, they started off on the same playing field, so it made it kind of difficult. But since now your characters will most likely go first before any of their characters take a first turn, it helps you kind of take the stress off yourself, and you can knock out a couple characters before they start attacking you. And the same thing carries over with your health and all that, and your protection. If you lost a little bit of protection or health, you get a little regeneration come the next round, and then assuming you don't get hurt, it'll keep regenerating as you go along. You're not going to see a huge jump in it, but it is a little bit that you will gain, and it helps you out in the long run. And the main thing that's really important, I don't think I did it at all in this gameplay, but occasionally you will come to a match that is super annoying, or for some reason they just they owned you. They schooled you pretty well. If that happens, if you see that little spring wheel up in the very top left corner there, you can click that, retreat out of the battle with no penalty, and when you go back to the match, you can go ahead and try again, and you didn't lose any characters, you didn't lose your turn meter, everything's kind of starting the same way it does. But the thing to keep in mind is that the game is kind of, I don't know, pre-scripted is the right word, but essentially when you start a match, a certain series of events are already planned out. So if you attack Sidious, this will happen next, this will happen next. So sometimes you might notice when you do something and you retreat, you come back and the same thing happens. So let's say they're putting the same damage on you, the same stun on the same person. So it's kind of pre-scripted in a way where the series of events isn't going to change. And the only way to change that is if you change your lineup. So I think at the very end, I just swapped out a character just for the heck of it. But let's say you retreat and you didn't like how the things played out last time. It's not going to change unless you do something different. If you do the same thing where you attack the same person, nothing's going to happen differently. So you want to swap out a character, and when you swap out a character, let's say I took out my Qui-Gon and put Leia in, there's a chance that the game is going to set out a different series of scripts. So let's say, for example, the second time, Sidious didn't dodge your attack, you were able to stun him, versus last time when you did the same series, just with the different lineup, he was able to evade both the stun and your attack. So yeah, if it gets, I don't suspect it's going to be too much of a problem now, but before this recent update that came out a while ago where they just completely lowered the teams that you face, people were retreating a lot because the lineups were getting pretty tough. I came across a couple of those crazy droid teams. There was one that had Jawa Engineer and General Grievous. It was just a nightmare. It took me quite a few tries to get past it. But now, after an update that came out recently, Galactic War got so much easier. They just completely like lowered the bar in terms of who you face. So you're not there's the chances of you seeing a full blown out like Jawa engineer team or a Dooku team in the first couple nodes. It's not really going to happen. If you do see them, they probably have no protection, very low health, and they're very low level. I've seen level 50s. I've seen characters without even protection. So the whole point of this update was to make it easy up until probably the last two battles, like what we are right here. So they're not incredibly hard, but they do give you a challenge. It's probably what you would typically see on your server regarding your rank and level that you are in there, and they kind of match that for you. So, but yeah, nowadays it's very doable. You don't have to worry too much about getting clobbered, having to restart constantly. It's pretty easy, and most people they just auto it, and some of them say it's actually too easy nowadays. So now that we kind of talked about Galactic War in general, the characters you should use, and the strategy behind it, and what's going on with the Galactic War as a whole, you're kind of wondering who should you invest in. Now, before protection, all that, there were like a couple of characters that you just had to get, and those were like Luminara. We had Poggle the Lesser, IG-86, and Captain Phasma. Those were kind of like your cornerstone characters that you have to get. And the people who are watching this video, I'm probably talking to people who are spread across the board. We probably have some people who are just starting. Probably got some senior people who have been playing this game like me since like December, November. And there's a lot of ways to go about picking your characters. But if you don't have these characters I'm about to say, you should probably go ahead and farm them because they are kind of used for a lot of things. Especially if you're starting out, Luminara is a great healer. You probably don't have super like strong characters like Rey at that point, so she's gonna help your team move along just fine. Same thing with like Captain Phasma. She's one of those characters that have been around for a while, and she's a toolbox character that you can just use for almost anything. She's kind of appearing in Arena a little bit more than before. Galactic War, she's helpful, especially as a lead. Especially in Raid, as I showed video gameplay from last time. She's great for Phase 1 in the Raid, slowing down the guards, getting Victory March, all that fun stuff. And so that's another character you should get. IG-86, I don't see him as useful as he used to be. So you may want to consider, unless you're planning on doing a Jawa engineer team like I mentioned with like General Grievous and all that, then yeah, totally farm him. But even as a starting character for someone who's just playing the game for the very few first weeks, IG-86 is actually a great character to invest in. But later on, once you get to level 80 with all these other high gear leveled and high level and geared individuals in the arena, not going to be as viable at this point in time. But if you're planning on mastering the raid, like I've mentioned in the past few videos, you want to go ahead and invest in Teebo. I'm not going to talk too much about him, but he's just phenomenal for the raid as we speak at this point in time. And I personally haven't invested in him yet. I have a bunch of characters from Galactic War. I even got Cad Bane. I thought maybe they were going to do some changes on him, so I have him maxed out at Gear 8. I got Magma Trooper. For a period of time, I was experimenting with an Empire Squad, thinking that, especially once the protection came around, they have a ton of health, they have a ton of protection, so I thought maybe this would be a good arena lineup. So yeah, I went ahead and got Magma Trooper. He's at Gear 9, level 80. But those characters, those are kind of like I'm done with the main characters, I just need something else fun to farm. And if that's the case, go for it. But if you don't have Luminara, Poggle, IG-86, Phasma, maybe Teebo, I can't really say because I don't have them and everything's been nice and dandy, then you shouldn't be getting those other characters because they don't have a place yet in Arena. Or in that regard, any other aspect. Tusken Raider could be potentially useful, but you don't see too many people using him. But those four characters that I mentioned, just go ahead and get those first before you start playing around. What I've been farming lately with my Galactic War tokens is actually General Grievous. I'm at the point where the other characters aren't appealing to me in the Galactic War shipments, so I wanted to go ahead and farm Grievous. And later this week, I will finally get my 60 shards for Grievous and just need 20 more to unlock him. It's definitely a journey. I've used only Galactic War tokens exclusively on General Grievous, so it does take time. I usually get about 225 to 300 shards a day that I put in there. But I feel like it's going to pay off, especially if Jawa Engineer and the droids are going to be kind of the future lineup. They look pretty nasty as of now, so I'm looking forward to that. So I'll make sure I give you guys a video gameplay once I unlock General Grievous. But other than that, that's kind of the whole shebang here for Galactic War. If you have any other questions or comments about how this game works or how this mode works, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think, and I'll get back to you guys. Peace out.